Okay, welcome back to yet another drawing session of the Raven. At this point, I'm trying to get everything refined. I have a few more pages. Everything is drawn, like every page is complete. 24 pages to be precise, accurate, and exact. I have however many that is on the page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I thought it was 7. Okay. I have 7 pages. I've done some refining so far on the last episode, if you will, the last drawing session I did. So I'm just going to do some refining. What I'm doing is adding backgrounds where they need it. Anything that isn't going to be like a jet black background or easily done with, effects trees or something, I'm going to take my time and refine. So this first page just needs panel 1 here. I'm just going to jump straight into it. I'm just telling you what I'm doing as I go, and draw with me if you like. Hang out. Grab you some champagne, grab you some wine, grab you a root beer, whatever you're into. Grab you some whiskey or whatever you feel like pulling off the shelf. Anyway, I have, if you're of age, don't drink if you're not of age. Don't be a goober. What is that? What am I trying to say? PSA, yeah, public service announcement. Yeah, don't drink unless you're old enough. I'm not getting in trouble on your account. I'll tell you right now. All right. Stupid ass. Okay. Got it. You got to CYA, man. You got to cover your own ass. You just got to. So on this background, there's those guys. Okay. It doesn't really matter because this is drawing through transparency. But the way he's sitting here, the tile is kind of going underneath. I didn't mean to zoom in, but it's kind of going underneath his chair. So I'm going to kind of try to remember that, which direction that's going. So it's kind of going, he's sitting in an angle this way and this way. So the tile is kind of going through, I guess it's kind of going that way, isn't it? If I were to follow the center of the table, it's going straight across the center of the table. Center of the table would be going this way. So we're going to do that. I'm just going to do center of the table here. And then, of course, it's going to go like, perspectives. So it'll just go to the back side of the table over here somewhere. Yeah, kind of goes behind him. So just using that as a reference, my own stuff as a reference, we're going to draw the line. It goes through here. So it kind of goes not quite under the center of the table. So let's fix that. Oops. But kind of like in front of it. See how it is here. It doesn't have to be exact, but I'm doing it as practice kind of a thing for my brain. So we're going to go like this. And however far you want the tile to go. So you know what? I'm just going to use the line tool here. Well, it's not a line tool. It's a shift and clip. So if you hit shift and click something, it'll give you a straight line. And it doesn't be dead perfect, but as long as it's close. And then I'm going to do the little bricks. This is like an old trick for bricks. Like it's stuccoed in parts and the bricks exposed. Like old building. There was a place I used to work at, or actually used to eat a lot. I used to eat at a lot too when I was a kid. It's called Don Pablo's, but I don't know if they exist anymore else. They don't exist here anymore. They had sort of a Texas, like Tex-Mex kind of vibe to it, and hang on, shift click, save time, and oops. And anyway, it had that kind of look too. It had like stuccoed paint like that. It's pretty cool. And the way I designed this is that you're not going to see any more of this. It's going to be kind of like haphazardly tiled one side and then like carpeted the other. And it doesn't really matter too much. I actually can just do this the easy way. Don't refer just to that one. Not really sure why I did that, but okay. Oh, I know what it's doing. Never mind. I can't do that because this is you can't read my mind. It's there's openings in the drawing of the table. See, the table's got holes in it here. So trying to use it. Man, excuse me. Trying to use that as a guide to delete the tile from the table isn't going to work. Excuse me. So I'm just going to do this. I mean, I very well could have just made that black so that it's done, but I can also just not worry about it. I can do it with black later. It's not a big deal. And then where his shoe is, he's got his foot kind of like stuck up in the air. I have no idea what kind of shoes he's wearing. I didn't reference those. I just kind of threw them together because you're not really going to see his feet that well. Actually, as a matter of fact, I don't even think you're going to see his feet at all because on this side, it's shaded all the way down to his foot. So, yeah, I'm going to throw some shading underneath here to kind of accommodate this the way this table is. It's an overhead direct light, so it's kind of blocking the view of his feet. And of course, his feet are going to move. They're not going to stay in one exact place the whole time. So, again, take with that as you will. I was trying to think how I want to do this. Okay, I'm gonna do because I've got to do this now. I can't put it off. So I'm just gonna do it black because there's no point in doing it in white. Oops, that's way too big. I mean, not white. There's no point in using like a red or just looking for the right size brush. There we go. So we're gonna do a directly under this table. You see how it's like shadow going straight down? So I need to just kind of oh yeah, I'm making this harder than it has to be. Let me just do a magic wand tool. That's only referring to that layer. That's not gonna work. Let's use this. Copy. No, I'm gonna paste this. I'm sorry. Color fill that. And then I'm just gonna move this underneath the table like so. And it just needs to get filled in those spots. So why is it so big? Dios mío, Rosana. Porky. See, Porky. So like I said, this, we'll get rid of these ink lines underneath here. You're not going to see it. And I threw his, like I said, see, you can't even see his shoes. I mean, you'll see an indirect, it's going to be jet black under his feet, but for the sake of argument, I decided to do it that way. Let's use a curve between here and here. I've got, oops. Now I have Morgan Wallen stuck in my head. Told you, man, I listen to everything. I don't know if you follow me, I've listened on here. I've listened to like Andy James and a lot of metal, a lot of country, a lot of rock. When I say a lot of metal, I mean a lot of metal, a lot of different kind of metal, a lot of different kind of country. I listen to all kinds of stuff. I don't care. It's music, man. I'll take it to here. Oops, that ain't gonna work. This. This is only meant to be an approximation of a shadow anyway. It doesn't have to be exactly right. Light bends and does funny things, so. Plus, I'm concerning myself with the top of that. You're not even going to see it anyway. Watch. Like, I'm not even paying attention to what I'm doing. If you go and Magic 1 tool this, and I refer to all other layers, you click on this. Let me do this. Okay, so it's mixing up those colors. So if I delete this, oops, off of this layer, and then I do the same thing with this one. Ta-da, shadow. That's done. This is carpeted back here, like I said, so it's just going to be kind of shaded and kind of like, they converted some old building or something like that because this is a really poor town. It won't necessarily be a poor town, but when I say poor, I just mean like they don't have a lot of funding for the cops, but maybe like the people have a decent amount of money or it's a small little community. I'm not really sure. Didn't think that much of it through, to be honest with you. But when I come back to ink this, I do need to be cognizant that his foot will be indirectly lit and have some kind of shading. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to make a note for myself just in case. So I will forget stuff like that. Yeah, let me just change the font so I don't think for some reason I'm being goofy and I'm like, oh, if I'm going fast, I'm going to think that that's for some reason it's a something that should be said. Like just, getting motor set and just circling and being like thought bubble, speech bubble. Like, no, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, so now I have this here and that there. Cool. They're on opposite sides of the table, where he would have been just as in disbelief as the cop a couple of days before. So, kind of cool. Oops. The thing I will say is I think that the shadow on this table... Hang on. I don't know if I can go back that far. No, I overrode the stack. That's all right. I was going to say, I actually think that the table should be a little... What did it do? Freeze? Okay. Table shadow's a little low compared to what it is over there, so actually going to have to move that. It's okay though. We will fix it real quick. Maybe. For the sake of the shadow, I think. No, that doesn't work. Hold on. Let me just do it this way. That works. I'm just going to use this to fill in that gap down here. And there, see, now it looks like it's a full shade again, and it's further away from the table than it was. So then I can, yeah, there's a thought in there. I can do that, and this. There. It's a little bit more on par with what it should have been. And then his knees aren't going to be in that shade, so mainly because he's kind of sitting away from the table a little bit. If you look when he's sitting down at a distance, here he's kind of tucked under the table, but the way the light is hitting isn't quite hitting his legs. He's kind of far off the edge of the table. Making sure my lighting makes sense. The light's coming straight down. Cast. It would cast. We're just doing it as a stark shadow. It would have cast him straight underneath with some diffuse lighting. I think that works. I think that's okay. That being said, just from the angle he's at, I think I'm going to pull. That would stay there. Because the shadow would bend over his leg if it is going to be in shadow with him. So that would be under him and around him. You just have to think about how the light's going to play off of him in the chair. And I think that's the problem. And if you wanted to, you could just take like the pen maybe. Oops. Okay, I'll just take a brush to it because let's say his knees are kind of in the shadow a little. Actually, I'm thinking about it. It's rounded, it's flattened. That's way too big. This can always be a diffuse shadow too, like, light playing off of this area here. So it wouldn't be in complete darkness necessarily. Something along them lines. But again, I might come back and do this, the lighter shade, and just leave this for now. I mean, people reposition themselves when they're sitting there talking, so it doesn't have to be exactly standing in the same position the whole time. You can shift around. But I did have it, I think I had it where the table was a little bit more the shade was a little bit further up than it is here. That is a wrong thing to pick. Let me just see if I can fix this down here because I'm not sure if I like this one. All right, so we have this. I think that makes a little more sense, actually. Okay, so what I'm going to do is the same thing. I'm going to select this. Let me turn this off. Select this guy and this, and then turn this back on, put it back on that layer, and then delete that. I honestly think that looks a little cleaner. Wait, I just realized. This is selecting the sketch layer too, so hang on. All right. Okay, that looks a little better to me. And then when you see him over here, because the way that the camera is angled and the table, it shouldn't be as dramatically shadowed. I'm trying to get it like kind of underneath the both of them. Also, hang on. I don't like the way that looks at all. I'm going to just fix this. Turn that off. There we go. Oh, yeah. See, again, I have that same problem. All right, for now, this will work though. I'm just going to use this and come back to this layer here. Get it so it's just like right under his feet, you know? And this is going to delete anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. Let me just figure out where. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to open this up, delete that. It's a little, I don't know, man. It's a little short. You know what? I just realized I'm thinking about this in the wrong way. The shadow would still be in front of him. So let's just, it could be in front of him, but not necessarily under him, if that makes any sense. So where he's standing here, it's a little far back from the table here, slides up. I can just move him up a little bit. There's a lot of refining, like I said. So I'm going to do this. Oh, I didn't finish drawing that? That's goofy. Very fine. So like it's just in front of him. That works for me. All right, I think that's good. I'm going to overdo this shadowing situation. I didn't mean to spend so much time on this. We don't need this underside of the table. Yeah. Oh, I didn't finish drawing the damn. What the hell? Anyway, shoes. That's not a tool to draw with. All right. I'll fix this shoe up as I go. I wasn't sure if it was going to be in shadow or not, so I didn't bother to put too much effort into that. So let's do this here. I gotta grab this, grab that, grab this, unlock the stupid thing, delete it, and now I'm cool with that. Screw it, we're done. So now I just need to erase this stuff because this needs to be inked. I wasn't thinking about it in terms. For some reason, I was thinking that the light was going to be, or the shadow was going to be under. He was going to be under the shadow or whatever. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. But anyway. Yeah. This way he can still be in front of the shadow and not necessarily in it. I think that makes sense. If it doesn't, my apologies. Now see over here, he's sort of in the shadow, and maybe he's scooted his chair up. I don't know. It's whatever. Maybe he put his feet forward, and his feet are actually sitting. He's moved his hands forward, moved his feet forward. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. That's what we're going to go with. And I just need to make sure this black is filled in on this side. That's not black. Cool. I don't need that sketch layer. I'll lock that down. Now this sketch layer just needs to be cleaned up. So this, see this down here, this that right there. That needs to be clean because it doesn't make sense that this would even be here because it's not a shadow anymore. I'm like, what the hell? Oh, I see. I made a mess. Oh, I'm worried about them blending together. I don't know what I'm doing. They're on the same layer. See? Layers for the win. So just delete. Deleted. I was thinking they were on the same layer for some reason. Okay. And now we can just take a straight line. And the center of this table is basically the center line. There you go, fool. That's done. Now I'm just going to delete this tile in here because you ain't going to see it. It'll make no sense. If it's fully shaded like that, it wouldn't make sense for you to be able to see it. There you go. All right, then. That's cool. I think this page is done. The only other thing I wanted to do is, I mean, they're going to be kind of shrouded in darkness, these two. He's going to have a bubble in front of here, so I didn't bother refining any of his detail of his shirt. And behind him here, I think one of the pages has, yeah. Oh, from the side view, you can see some brick. But here, I think I'm just going to do shadow, black, and that's it. So I can do that real quickly. And that's it for this page, I think. Which one is he on? That one is lock that one. Here, this one. So this guy needs a... He needs to be refined here. So what I'm going to do is draw this. And this. And then for the background of this, I think it'll work. I don't know. It may not. Sometimes you have to kind of draw. Yeah, see, sometimes you have to kind of draw around the outside because it doesn't stop at the frame like the edge of the canvas does. So like that, and he'll be in the light, you know, casting shadows on his face and stuff. And then this where it says try us. Lock that one. There, that looks better. So this try us thing, I'm actually just going to do a bubble here so I don't lose it. I won't see it later, so I'm going to go ahead and do it now. It's going to say try us. That ain't going to work because it's not big enough. 12. No. I try to match the thickness of the lines of the panel with the bubble. So it feels like it sticks, so it's kind of cohesive. A simple little trias here. Balloon tail. Right here. It's not very wide. I don't. Let's try a bigger tail. All right, that works. So then when I go to do this in black and this background, it's not going to be as, it's not going to be impossible to read. So let's lock that. Now see, when you try to fill in the frame, what it'll do is fill in the entire background. Right? So that's referring to, if I refer to the other layers, see it tries to fill in a gap there. Let's close gap. Almost. Okay, one more. I'm going to do this layer here, actually. I'm going to lock this one down, and then that way, when I fill this, I can just erase. Yeah, see? That's perfect. However, this is getting filled in. So the trick to that is, like I said, just to fill in a pencil line around the gutters, and you can fill it in faster. That's the fast way to do that. Again, I got to come back through here and ink all this. Let's see, this is starting to give that more feel to it. Real dark, interrogation. This room's going to be dark, but it's going to be lit enough. Because when the camera's in the light, you know, when your eye is in light, right, you don't see what's beyond the light because basically you're blinded to the darkness. So when you're in the darkness, you can actually see the light better. So if you're standing out looking, kind of like when you're outside someone's house at night, you can see inside, they can't see outside. It's a similar effect. So when you do that, that's why this works. So like when the camera snaps to the person under the light versus them being outside of it looking in, you can see the whole room. But once you get into that light, it kind of saturates your vision, and you only see, and the camera does the same thing. You only see what's in front of you and not necessarily what's surrounding the whole room. So that's why I did it that way. It also makes it more dramatic. And Here, there is not a light. But there should be. I didn't do that. That's the last thing I should need to add before I forget to do that. There should be a light coming down like there is here, casting a light around both of them, and it kind of partially illuminates him here, not eliminates. That's just sort of him leaning. He's leaning back here, so he'll be somewhat in darkness, not pitch black. This is going to be like a mid-tone gray or something like that. And then the guy here, and also, so don't forget, let me do this. I have a few things I want to make sure I do before I forget. There's this wall over here. Oh wait, I'm on the wrong layer. I'm like, nothing's moving. Lock this down first before I say anything else. All right, see this wall here is, it needs a, doesn't matter what color I use at this point. It needs bricks. So I know later that it's meant to be some kind of, see the brick wall there? Let's do the same thing. So I know it's a brick wall. Okay. It doesn't have to be perfectly in line with the continuity of it all. If anything, it should look like that one. Which you could just copy it if you want. Like take this one, the couple of lines. I'll just wing it. So you get this line here, this line coming down. There, that way I know it's the wall. And that this is the floor here. And he needs to be in light like I set up there. So I'm going to lock this down. And in here, there should be a light source over top of them both. But just so I don't have to fiddle with it, I'm going to just put a light on its own layer. And I'm just going to sketch the light coming down from the lamp across the both of them, similar to what's happening here. It's real wide light source, right? It's obviously the lamp is lighting up the table, but it's also lighting up the floor as well. And part of it, something like this. Okay. So then he's leaning in, and then he's leaning back. That's kind of what I was going for. I ain't got a big old shiny spot on his head. Those aren't hair, by the way. It's not like his balding hair. That's just the guidelines, but it's kind of funny. It looks that way. So maybe we keep it. I don't know. All right. Layers are your friend. So there's the light source there. And then this diffuse lighting under the table. Yeah, you know what? Let me just go ahead and erase that too, just so that I have the ducks in an order. I'll come back and be able to. This one. Be able to fix it. Because I'll know. You know, his chair and everything is going to be in diffuse lighting, so actually, okay. That way, when you see it later, it'll make sense. The shadows and stuff will make sense. Lock her on down. I think that's good. I think I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna have to come back in and, like I said, ink everything and then highlight and shadow everything all at the same time. But I might ink everything and then come back and shadow everything, or I might ink and shadow at the same time. Just kind of depends on my mood. But I think that's good for this session. Done a couple of these today, so I'm gonna go ahead and call it and see what other shenanigans I can get myself into. If you guys like it, let me know. If you don't like it, why'd you watch it this far? All right, I'll catch you in the next one.